Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this new video right here on Litecoin. Wanted to do a full update for two reasons in this, and a little bit more of a long-term update as well, by the way, so that it stays relevant for a bit longer for most of you that are interested in Litecoin. Because I haven't covered Litecoin in a while, and I also don't plan on covering it very often. So yeah, we'll talk about everything you need to know. But it was requested by someone, so I see a lot of requests, especially if you join the Telegram and the Discord groups, and ask me in there. But Litecoin is also a coin I've covered for years, and then now more recently, we've heard rumors, or at least we've heard some confirmations, I would almost say, about a Litecoin ETF. So I wanted to speak on that a little bit here first, and then we'll talk about the technicals. The technicals at this point of time, to be quite blunt and honest right here, are not very noteworthy and not very special. I mean, Litecoin is basically just consolidating right here in this major area right here between $72, I would say, to the downside, 72, 74, 75, something like that. And then to the upside, $100, but that's very far away. And the last time we hit that was at the end of May, so over a month ago. But first let's talk about that ETF. So at this point of time, the probability of a Litecoin ETF stands at a 16% chance before July the 31st. And before December the 31st, an 89% chance. So we can be very certain that we are going to get a Litecoin ETF. But the question is well, all right, well, how much will that do for the price, and how much will that do for Litecoin, right? Because, for example, we've also seen with Solana, that's most likely going to get an ETF very soon, that, you know, the price action doesn't necessarily mean that, or the price action doesn't necessarily say that a coin gets an ETF, so it will rally, right? There's a lot of nuances, and there's a lot of different things you need to know about these ETFs. And Litecoin specifically, look, the question is as well whether this ETF actually has potential. And I've always said in the past, whenever I did an update on a Litecoin ETF, which, by the way, I've done since last year, 2020, I've done since like the beginning of 2024, when Bitcoin also got that ETF, and I always said, you know, Litecoin has the best chance to actually get an ETF as well. So first of all, Litecoin getting an ETF might actually be priced in already. And Litecoin is also still trading higher, for example, than the majority of 2024. So that's pretty good news. But the question is well, can it actually do better than what we expect? And I think the answer is yes. I mean, Litecoin, I think, has or could potentially have a lot of appeal for the older investors, right? It's very stable like Bitcoin. It's a little bit similar to Bitcoin. Bitcoin performed so well. They very often say, you know, Bitcoin is gold, Litecoin is silver. I think narratives like that can actually work for Litecoin. However, you know, and you can also see that, I mean, if you take a look at the Grayscale Trust that already exists right now, you can see that the assets under management that they have is $170 million, right? So this is usually like major investors and institutions, etc. So this is a proof of concept that there is demand. However, you know, even though we can fundamentally talk about that it is a possibility, at this point of time, technically, we're not seeing it, right? The last time we had momentum was the 9th of May, and we just rejected at the yearly rolling VWAP, which is not bad. I mean, I say that a little bit as well. Well, we just rejected there. No, it's a major resistance level, but that is a sign that Litecoin is consolidating here and is neutral. And then if you take a look at the volume, if you take a look at the open interest, there's absolutely no sign of momentum. So do I think that Litecoin has a chance to rally? Yes. Do I think it will? Yes, especially also in these markets. The markets are still very healthy and quite strong. However, I would still be quite cautious with buying Litecoin, and I think that the best buy for Litecoin is probably just to be patient, wait for some bad news to hit, and buy this level right here between around 72.5. And then from there we'll bounce, because I do think we'll stay in this consolidation, in this range. And then at some point of time, we'll be able to rally up to $98 and $100 again. That's what I expect as well. And then, you know, depending on if we have a lot of momentum, if there's any hype for Litecoin ETF, we will either be able to break out if there is a lot of hype, or we will just reject there. But then still, you have you put in a great buy at 72.5, and that's a win of about 40%. So those are my thoughts. That's the way I look at Litecoin right now. I think fundamentally there's much more potential than this, but technically we need to see it first. All right, so those are my thoughts. I think that's what you need to know regarding Litecoin right now. First of all, in kind of the medium, long term technically, but also fundamentally. So hopefully that helps. But that's it for now. Take care. I'll see you all in my next videos, and bye.